everyone or no one? Most favorite people to come in. Okay, I'm just waiting to see for people to come in. That's all. Hey, cool gamer. I'm trying to post my membership too. Hey, Grammy. So, my phone's being a jerk. Figures. It's so slow right now. Yeah, I'm on the wrong thing. Hey, SD. Oh, this is such a pain in the arse. Oh, come on. Sorry, just a minute. There we go. How you guys doing today? This is probably what? Like the sixth or even seventh day that I have not been able to mow my lawn because it's been so damn hot. So it looks like a jungle in the back and it looks cool in the front. Like it's good in the front. But yeah, it's funny. You should see. I have a Shih Tzu, so my little dog. Every time he's outside, I can barely see him. I feel so bad, but he loves it apparently. Hi, Linda. There, finally did it. Hey, Sassy. All right, I'll get to reading this. We're almost done this book, so keep giving me ideas on what you guys want me to read next and discuss. I have some ideas, and SD gave me a great idea, and I really want to do what you said. Or like the photos you showed me were awesome. I don't know. I'm so interested in the paranormal, so I'm thinking maybe let's do that next instead of another true crime. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, so last time I was on the "Don't You Know Who You're Crucifying," and this was in April 1970. And these are long chapters, so sometimes I have to stop them, and then the next week I have to finish them. So the author is actually the prosecutor, Vincent Bugliosi. So that's what this book is based on, is his time on this case. So it's all from him. So that's pretty neat, I thought. All right, I'm just gonna take a drink and I'll start reading. And then afterwards, of course, we'll have questions and whatever you guys want. Is there really SD? I think we should do that next. You've got me, my interest is so piqued. I really want to do that. So I'm going to look on Amazon. Even if nobody wants to do a paranormal one right now, I need to get that book. I want to watching. Yeah, that's a good show. I just love Amy, Grammy. I want to read it. And I keep believe it's on Dead Files. That's awesome. I'm going to look that up. I need that book too. I was actually watching last night, which was stupid because again, I watch stuff that upsets me and then I'll watch something that's too scary. Well, last night I ended up watching a couple documentaries and then a movie on the Penhurst Asylum. Oh my god. Oh my god. Between that and Willowbrook, I don't know what's worse. I really don't. Okay. I'll start. When contacted by Lieutenant Helder and Sergeant Gutierrez, both Sage and Jacobs verified Lindsay's story. I was unable to use either as a witness. However, most of their testimony being inadmissible hearsay. Ranch hand David Hannum said he had begun work at Spawn on August 12th and that Linda had borrowed his car the same day as well as the next. And a check of the jail records verified that Brunner and Good had been in court on August 12th. It's called House of Horrors. Thank you. The various interviews yielded unexpected bonuses. Hannum said that once, when he killed a rattlesnake, Manson had angrily chastised him, yelling, "How would you like it if I chopped your head off?" He then added, "I'd rather kill people than animals." At the same time, I interviewed Linda's husband, Robert Kasabian. I also talked to Charles Melton, the hippie philanthropist from whom Linda had stolen the 5,000 from. Melton said that in April 1969, before Linda ever met the family, he had gone to Spawn Ranch to see Paul Watkins. While there, Melton had met Tex, who, admiring Melton's beard, commented, "Maybe Charlie will let me grow a beard someday." It would be difficult to find a better example of Manson's domination on Watson. These were pluses. These were pluses, there were minuses, and they were big ones. To prove to the jury that Linda's account of these two nights of murder wasn't fabricated out of whole cloth, I desperately needed some third person to corroborate any part of her story. Rudolph Weber provided that corroboration for the first night, but for the second night, I had no one. I gave LAPD this all important priority assignment: find the two officers who spoke to Manson and Linda on the beach, the man whose door Linda knocked on that night, the man and women at the house next to the Malibu feed bin, or any of the drivers who gave them rides. I'd like to have had all these people, but even if they could turn up even one, I'd be happy. Linda had located the spot where the two officers stopped and questioned them. It was near Manhattan Beach, but Los Angeles being the megalopolis that it is, it turned out to be in an area where there were overlapping jurisdictions. Not one, but three separate law enforcement agencies patrolling it, and a check of all three failed to turn up anyone who could recall such an incident. We had better luck when it came to locating the actor Linda had mentioned. LaBianca detectives Sartucci and Nelson found him still living in apartment 501 11 or 1101 Oceanfront Walk, Venice. Not Israeli but Lebanese, and his name was Saladin Nadjer, age 39. Unemployed since starring in Broken Wings, the movie about the poet Gibran, he remembered picking up the two hitchhiking girls in early August 1969. He described both Sandy and Linda accurately, including the fact that Sandy was noticeably pregnant. Picked out photos each and related essentially the same story Linda had told me, neglecting to mention only that he and Linda had gone to bed. After questioning Nader, the investigating officers, according to the report, explained to subject the purpose of the interview, and he displayed amazement at such sweet and sociable young ladies would attempt to inflict any harm upon his body after he assisted them to the best of his ability. Though their stories jibed, Nader was only a part or partial support for Linda's testimony, as fortunately for him and thanks to Linda, he did not encounter the group that night. One floor down was the apartment of the man whose door Linda had knocked. Linda had pointed out the door, 403, for us, and I'd asked Gutierrez and Patchett to try to locate the man. Hopefully he'd recall the incident. When I got the report, it was on the tenant of 404. Returning, they learned from the landlady that 403 had been vacant during August 69. It was possible some transient may have been staying there, she said. It wouldn't have been the first time, but beyond that, we drew a blank. According to the rental manager of 3921 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, the house next to the Malibu feed bin where Linda said she, Sadie, and Clem had stopped just before dawn, a group of hippies had moved on to the unrented building about 9 months ago. There, Benny said as many as 50 different persons living there, but he didn't know any of them. Sartucci and Nelson, however, did manage to locate two girls who had lived there from about February to October 1969. Both were friends of one Susan, another girl, and a male, and had visited them. That did not make sense. I apologize. Night two skulls. Both were friends of Susan Atkins, and both recalled meeting Linda Kasabian. One recalled that when Susan, another girl, and a male had visited them. She remembered the incident, though not the date, the time, or the other persons present, because she was on acid and the trio appeared evil. Both girls admitted that during this period they were stoned so much of the time that the recollections were hazy. As witnesses, they would be next to useless. Nor was LAPD able to locate any of the drivers who had picked up the hitchhikers that night. The La Bianca detectives handled all those investigations. Going over the reports, I was convinced they had done everything possible to run down the leads. But we were left with the fact that of the 6 to 8 persons who could have corroborated Linda Kasabian's story of the events of that second night, we hadn't found even one. I anticipated that the defense would lean heavily on this. Any defendant may file at least one affidavit of prejudice against a judge and have him removed from the case. It isn't even necessary to give a reason for such a challenge. On April 13th, Manson filed such an affidavit against Judge William Keene. Judge Keene accepted Manson's challenge, and the case was reassigned to Judge Charles H. Older. Though more affidavits were expected, each defendant was allowed one, the defense's attorneys, after a brief huddle, decided to accept Older. I'd never tried a case before him. By reputation, the 52-year-old jurist was a no-nonsense judge. A World War II fighter pilot who had served with the Flying Tigers, he had been appointed to the bench by Governor Ronald Reagan in 1967. This would be his biggest case to date. The trial date was set for June 15th. Because of the delay, we were again hopeful that Watson might be tried with the others, but that hope was quickly dashed when Watson's attorney requested and received still another postponement in the extradition proceedings. The retrial of Beausoleil for the Hinman murder had begun in late March. Chief witnesses for the prosecution was Mary Brunner, first member of the Manson family, who testified that she had witnessed Beausoleil stab Hinman to death. Claiming that he had only been a reluctant witness, Beausoleil himself took the stand and fingered Manson as Hinman's murderer. The jury believed Brunner. In Beausoleil's first trial, the case against him had been so weak that our office hadn't asked for the death penalty. This time, prosecutor Burton Katz did, and got it. Two things concerned me about the trial. One was that Mary Brunner did everything she could to absolve Manson, making me wonder just how far Sadie, Katie, and Leslie would be willing to go to save Charlie, and the other, that Danny DiCarlo hedged on many of his previous statements to LAPD. I was worried that Danny might be getting ready to split, all too aware that he had little reason to stick around. Though the motorcycle engine theft charge had been dropped in return for his testimony in the Hinman case, we had made no deal with him on the Tate La Bianca. Moreover, although we had good chance of sharing the $25,000 reward, it was not necessary that he testify to obtain it. DiCarlo and Brunner did testify that same month before the grand jury, which brought additional indictments against Charles Manson, Susan Atkins, and Bruce Davis on the Hinman murder. But testifying before a grand jury in secret and having to face Manson himself in court were two different things. Nor can I blame Danny for being apprehensive. As soon as the grand jury indictments were made public, Davis, who had been living with the family at Spawn, vanished. This one's May 1970. In early May, Crockett, Poston, and Watkins encountered Clem, Gypsy, and a youth named Kevin, one of the newer family members, in Shoshone. Clem told Watkins, Charlie says that when he gets out, you all had better not be around the desert. From a source at Spawn Ranch, we learned that family members there appeared to be preparing for some activity. The Manson girls were interviewed so often that they were on the first-name basis with many of the reporters. Inadvertently, several times they implied that Charlie would be out soon. Perhaps significantly, the girls said nothing about his being acquitted or released. It was obvious that something was being planned. On May 11th, Susan Atkins filed a declaration for her grand jury testimony. Both Manson and Atkins used the declaration as basis for habeas corpus motions, which were subsequently denied. Aaron and I conferred with District Attorney Younger. Sadie couldn't have it both ways. Either she had told the complete truth before the grand jury and, according to our agreement, we would not seek a first-degree murder conviction against her, or, according to a recent declaration, she recanted her testimony, in which case agreement was breached. My personal opinion was that Susan Atkins had testified substantially truthfully before the grand jury, with these exceptions: her omission of the 3 other murder attempts the second night, her hedging on whether she had stabbed Wojciech Frykowski, which she had admitted to me when I interviewed her, and my instinctive but strong feeling, corroborated by her confessions to Virginia Graham and Ronnie Howard, that she had lied when she testified that she had not stabbed Sharon Tate. Under Atkins' agreement with our office, substantially wasn't good enough. She had to tell the complete truth. With her declaration, however, the issue was closed. Hey, Britt. On the basis of her repudiation, Aaron and I asked Younger's permission to seek the death penalty against Susan Atkins, as well as the other defendants. He granted it. Sadie's about-face was not unexpected. Another change, however, caught almost everyone off guard. In court to petition for a new trial, Bobby Beausoleil produced... Hey, Drama Llama. Oh, okay. In court to petition for a new trial, Bobby Beausoleil produced an affidavit signed by Mary Brenner stating that her testimony in its trial was not true and that she had lied when she said Beausoleil stabbed him into death. Although obviously stunned, prosecutor Bert Katz argued that the other evidence in the trial was sufficient to convict Beausoleil. Investigating further, Bert learned that a few days before she was due to testify, Mary Brenner had been visited by Squeaky and Brenda at her parents' home in Wisconsin. She was again visited by Squeaky, this time accompanied by Sandy, 2 days before she signed the affidavit. Bert charged that the girls, representing Manson, had coerced Mary Brenner into repudiating her testimony. Called to the stand, Mary Brenner first denied this. Then, after conferring with counsel, did another about-face, and she repudiated her repudiation. Her testimony in the trial was true, she said. She again reversed herself. Eventually, Beausoleil's motion for a new trial was denied, and he was sent to San Quentin's death row to wait out his appeal. The district attorney's office was left with perplexing legal dilemma. However, after her testimony in the Beausoleil trial, the court had granted Mary Brenner complete immunity for her part in the Hinman murder. Except for the possibility that she might be tried for perjury, it looked as if Mary Brenner had managed to beat the rap. Indicted on Hinman murder, Manson appeared before Judge Dell to request that he be allowed to represent himself. When Dell denied the motion, Manson requested that Irving Kanarek and Day Shin be made his attorneys. Judge Dell ruled there would be a clear conflict of interest if Shin represented both Manson and Susan Atkins. This left Kanarek. Commenting, "I think we are all well aware of Mr. Kanarek and his record," Manson told Judge Dell. "I do not wish to hire this man as my attorney, but you leave me no alternative. I understand what I am doing. Believe me, I understand what I am doing. This is the worst man in town I could pick, and you are pushing him on me." If Dell would permit him to represent himself, Manson said, then he would forget about having Kanarek. "I'm not going to be blackmailed," Dell told Manson. "Manson, then I will take it up to the bigger father." Judge Dell said that Manson could, of course, appeal his decision. However, since Manson was already appealing the revocation of his pro-per status in the Tate LaBianca proceedings, Dell was willing to postpone a final decision until that writ was either accepted or rejected. Aaron and I discussed the possibility Kanarek's substitution with District Attorney Younger. In view of his record, with Kanarek on the case, the prospect the trial might last 2 days or more, years was very real. Younger asked us if there was any legal basis for removing an attorney from a case. We told him we knew of none. However, I researched the law. Younger asked me to prepare an argument for the court and suggested that it stress Kanarek's incompetency. From what I had learned of Kanarek, I did not feel that he was incompetent. His obstructionism, I felt, was the major issue. Hey, Nicole. I had no trouble obtaining evidence of this from judges, deputy DAs, even jurors. I had examples of his dilatory obstructionist tactics. One deputy DA, on learning that he had to expose Kanarek a second time, quit the office. Life was too short for that, he said. Anticipating that Manson would ask to substitute Kanarek on Tate LaBianca as well as Hinman, I began preparing my argument. At the same time, I had another idea which just might make the argument unnecessary. Maybe with the right bait, I could persuade Manson to dump Kanarek himself. On May 25th, I was going through LAPD's tubs on the LaBianca case when I noticed, standing against the wall, a wooden door. On it was a multicolored mural. The lines from a nursery rhyme, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven. And in large letters, the words, Helter Skelter is coming down fast. Stunned, I asked Gutierrez, where in the hell did you get that? Spawn Ranch? He says Spawn Ranch? When? He checked the yellow property envelope affixed to the door, November 25th, 1969. You mean for 5 months, while I've been desperately trying to link the killers with Helter Skelter, you've had this door with those very words on it, the same bloody words that were found at the LaBianca residence. Gutierrez admitted they had. The door, it turned out, had been found on a cabinet in Juan Flynn's trailer. It had been considered so unimportant that to date, no one had even bothered to book it into evidence. Gutierrez did so the next day. Again, as I had on numerous other occasions, I told the detectives that I wanted to interview Juan Flynn. I had no idea how much Flynn actually knew. Along with Brooks, Poston, and Paul Watkins, the Panamanian cowboy had been interviewed by the authors of a quickie paperback that appeared even before the trial. But he obviously held back a great deal, since many of the incidents I'd learned about from books and Paul were not included. June 1st to the 14th, 1970. 2 weeks before the start of the Tate LaBianca trial, Manson requested and obtained the substitution of Irving Kanarek for Ronald Hughes. I asked for a conference in chambers. Once there, I pointed out that the legal issues in this case were tremendously complex, even with attorneys known to handle matters. The trial could last for 4 or more months. But, I added, it is my frank opinion that if Mr. Kanarek is permitted to represent Mr. Manson, the case could last several years, I noted. It is common knowledge among the legal profession that Mr. Kanarek is a professional obstructionist. I believe the man is conscious. I believe he is sincere. However, I continued, there is no way for the court to stop Mr. Kanarek. Even holding him in contempt will not stop this man because he will gladly spend the night in jail. Rather than have the trial become a burlesque on justice, I had an alternative suggestion. I told the court, it was one I had considered for a long time, and though I had discussed it with Aaron, I knew it would come as a surprise to everyone else. As possible solution, the prosecution has no objection to permitting Mr. Manson to represent himself, as he has desired throughout, and let him have the attorney of his choice to assist him. Thanks. Manson looked at me with a startled expression. This was probably the last thing he had expected to hear from the prosecution. Although I was hoping that, given this opportunity, Manson would dump Kanarek, I was sincere in making this suggestion. From the start, Manson had maintained that only he could speak for himself. He'd strongly implied that, failing in this, he'd make trouble. And there was no question in my mind that this was the reason for choosing Kanarek. Hi, Rita. Two, even though lacking formal education, Manson was bright. Having dominated them in the past, he could cross-examine such prosecution witnesses as Linda Kasabian, Brooks Poston, and other ex-family members with probably more effectiveness than many straight attorneys. And to assist him in the legal matters, he would have not only his own lawyer, but 3 other experienced attorneys alongside him at the counsel table. Also, looking far ahead, I was concerned that the denial of Manson's request to defend himself might be an issue on appeal. Aaron then quoted Manson's own statement, made in Judge Dell's court, that Kanarek was the worst man he could pick. Kanarek objected so strongly to the proceedings that Judge Older remarked, now the things that Mr. Stovitz and Mr. Bugliosi said about you, Mr. Kanarek, while they might appear to be unfair, there certainly is a matter of common knowledge among the judges in this court, a good deal of truth in what they say. I am not impugning your personal motives, but you do have a reputation for taking an inordinately long time to do what someone else can do in a much shorter period. However, Older said the only reason he was considering the matter was that he wanted to be absolutely sure Manson wanted Kanarek as his attorney. His remarks before Judge Dell had injected some doubt on that point. I can give you a link, Brittany. and then just cut me off if you have something important to say, because you know a lot more about this case than I do. So if there's something important that I'm reading, just cut me off, please. In one respect, Manson replied, Kanarek would be the best attorney in town. In a lot of respects, he would be the worst attorney that I could take. But Manson continued, I don't think there's any attorney that can represent me as well as I can myself. I am smart enough to realize that I am not an attorney, and I will sit behind these men and I won't make a scene. I am not here to make trouble. Hey, Deb. There is a lot involved here that does not meet the eye. A person is born, he goes to school, he learns what he is told in a book, and he lives by life by what he knows. The only thing he knows is what someone has told him. He is educated. He does what an educated person does. But you go out of this realm, you go into a generation gap, a free love society. You get into insane drugs or smoking marijuana. And in this other world, and reality differs, Manson noted. Here, experience alone is the teacher. Here you discover there's no way that you can know the taste of water unless you drink it, or unless it has rained on you, or unless you jump in the river. The court. All I want to do, Mr. Manson, is find out if you are happy with Mr. Kanarek or if you have second thoughts. Manson says, I thought I explained that I would not be happy with anyone but myself. No man can represent me. I asked the court's permission to question Manson. Bill Kanarek objected. Charlie was agreeable. I asked him if he had consulted the other defense attorneys as to whether he should be represented by Kanarek. I had heard that two of them, Fitzgerald and Reiner, were very unhappy with Bill Kanarek's entry into the case. Manson. I don't ask other men's opinions. I have my own. Bugliosi. Do you feel Mr. Kanarek can give you a fair trial? Manson. I will give you a fair trial, Charlie, but I am out to convict you. Hey, objection to agree. Manson, what is a fair trial? Bugliosi, that's when the truth comes out. Declaring it would be a miscarriage of justice to permit you to represent yourself in a case having the complications this case has. Older again asking Manson, are you affirming Mr. Kanarek as your attorney? I am forced into a situation, Manson replied. My second alternative is to cause you as much trouble as possible. A little over a week later, we'd get our first sample of what he had in mind.
Hello.
Hi. While I'm reading, if there's anything important or you feel important or just something interesting that you know, just stop me. Just interrupt me.
Yeah, just remember what I told you yesterday about the anniversary of Sharon and the La Bianca stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even know. I felt so bad. But the anniversary, it was first it was Sharon Tate, wasn't it? And then the La Biancas. Yeah.
Yeah, the 9th was Sharon, then the 10th was the La Biancas.
Wow. It's incredible.
Don't mind. If you hear crunching, that means I'm eating.
No worries. On being taken to Patton State Hospital in January, 16-year-old Diane Lake had been
I'll
labeled...
just mute the microphone.
Okay. On being taken to Patton State Hospital in January, 16-year-old Diane Lake had been labeled schizophrenic by staff psychologists. Though I knew the defense would probably try to use this to discredit her testimony, I wasn't too worried, since psychologists are not doctors and are not qualified to make medical diagnoses. The staff psychiatrists who were doctors said her problems were emotional, not mental, behavioral disorders of adolescence plus possible drug dependence. They also felt she had made excellent progress and were now sure she would be able to testify at the trial. Will Sergeant Patchett. I visited Patton early in June. The little ragamuffin I'd first seen in jail in the Independence, now looked like any teenager. She was getting straight A's in school. Diane told me proudly, not until getting away from the family, she said, had she realized how good life was. Now looking back, she felt she had been in a pit of death. In interviewing Diane, I learned a number of things which hadn't come out in her earlier interviews. While they were in the desert together at Willow Springs, Patricia Krenwinkel had told her that she had dragged Abigail Folger from the bedroom into the living room of the Tate residence. Bessie Van Houten also, after admitting to her that she had stabbed someone, had commented that at first she thought she had been reluctant to do so, but then she discovered the more you stab, the more fun it was. A trigger warning, guys. Diane also said that on numerous occasions in June, July, and August of 1969, Manson had told the family, we have to be willing to kill pigs in order to help the black man start Helter Skelter. And several times she believed it was in July, but a month before the Tate LaBianca murders, Manson had also told them, "I'm going to have to start the revolution." The interview lasted several hours. One thing Diane said struck me as very sad. Squeaky, Sandy, and the other girls in the family could never love anyone else, not even their parents, she told me. "Why not?" I asked. "Because," she replied, they've given all their love to Charlie." I left Patton with a very strong feeling that Diane Lake had now escaped that fate. I know, Rita, right? All of them are psychotic. In court on June 9th, Manson suddenly turned in his chair so his back was to the judge. "The court has shown me no respect," Manson said, "so I am going to show the court the same thing." Unbelievable, this guy. When Manson refused to face the court, Judge Older, after several warnings, had the bailiffs remove him from the courtroom. He was taken to the lockup adjoining the court, which was equipped with a speaker system so he could hear, though not participate in the proceedings. Although Older gave him several opportunities to return, on the understanding that he would agree to conduct himself properly, Manson rejected them. We'd not given up in our attempt to have Irving Kanarek taken off the case. On June 10th, I filed a motion requesting an evidentiary hearing on the Kanarek-Hughes substitution. The thrust of my motion, Manson did not have the constitutional right to have Kanarek as his lawyer. The right counsel of one's choice, I argued, was not an unlimited, unqualified, absolute right. This right was given to defense seeking a favorable verdict for themselves. It was obvious from Manson's statements that he wasn't picking Kanarek for this reason, but rather to subvert, thwart, and paralyze the due and proper administration of justice. And we submit that he cannot use the right to counsel of his choice in such an ignoble fashion. I know. It is really sad. Like, the worst, well, obviously, was Sharon, right? It's such an, and this book that I'm reading, it's called Helter Skelter, and the authors is Vincent Bugliosi, which also was the prosecutor. So this is firsthand knowledge of what he went through. That's what this book is about. I never knew a lot of the things that was in this book, and reading it, I've done a lot of gasping, or you know what I mean? Just, oh my God, couldn't believe it. This right was given to defendants seeking a favorable verdict for themselves. It was obvious from Manson's statements that he wasn't picking Kanarek for this reason, but rather to subvert, thwart, and paralyze the due and proper administration of justice. And we submit that he cannot use the right to counsel of his choice in such an ignoble fashion. Kanarek responded that he would be glad to let the court read the transcripts of these cases to see if he used dilatory tactics. I thought I saw Judge Older wince at this, but I wasn't sure. Older's somber expression rarely changed. It was very difficult to guess what he was thinking. In researching Kanarek's record, I had learned something which was not part of my hour-long argument. For all this filibustering, disconnected rambling, senseless motions, and wild, irresponsible charges, Irving Kanarek frequently scored points. He noted, for example, that our office hadn't tried to challenge Ronald Hughes, who had never tried a case before on the grounds that his reputation might hurt Manson. And in conclusion, Kanarek was very much to the point, asked that the prosecution's motion be struck on the basis there's no basis for it in law. I frankly admitted this was my argument, but had noted that this was a situation so aggravated that it literally cries out to the court to take a pioneer stand. Judge Older disagreed. My motion for an evidentiary hearing was denied. Yeah, this is very, very detailed, guys. Yeah, very. Although District Attorney Younger had Older's ruling appealed to the California Supreme Court, it was let stand. Though we had tried to save the taxpayers perhaps several $1,000,000 and everyone involved a great deal of time and unnecessary effort, Irving Kanarek would remain on the Tate LaBianca case just as long as Charles Manson wanted him. If your honor does not respect Mr. Manson's rights, you need not respect mine, Susan Atkins said, rising and turning her back to the court. Wow, these people, man. Leslie Van Houten and Patricia Carmichael followed suit. Well, of course they did. When Older suggested that the defense attorneys confer with their clients, Fitzgerald admitted that would do little good because there is a minimum of client control in this case. After several warnings, Older had the girls removed to one of the vacant jury rooms upstairs, and a speaker was placed there also. I had mixed feelings about all this. If the girls parroted Manson's actions during the trial, it would be additional evidence of his domination. However, their removal from the courtroom might also be considered reversible error on appeal, and the last thing we wanted to have was to try the whole case over again. Oh, what'd you say, Deb? You have to remember that this was during a time when young people didn't want to accept their parents' morals and methods of life, but had no idea what they did want. I'm not excusing. Had no compass. Yeah, you're right. That was the times. Everybody was leaving their parents and leaving their homes and
Yeah,
joining
they called it the generation gap.
the generation gap. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just going with the times. But what Manson did was just that wasn't what it was supposed to be. What he did, he's a monster. What he did and what his followers did is just I don't even know how to say it. It's awful.
Yeah, my aunt was the same way with my grandmother. She didn't want to become like her, so she rebelled. Well, when that rebellion hit, she ended up getting pregnant and when she was just a teenager.
Oh wow.
She had 3 sons before she was 19.
She had how many? Sorry.
3 kids before 19.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Manson and his fathers deserved. Yes, they did. I totally agree. If your honor does not respect Mr. Manson's rights, you need not respect. Oh my god, I just read that. Bringing all the defendants back into court the next day, Judge Older warned them that if they persisted in their conduct before a jury, they could badly jeopardize their cases. So I would ask you to seriously reconsider what you are doing because I think you are hurting yourselves. Again, after attempting to revert to pro per status, Manson said, okay, then you leave me nothing. You can kill me now. What the hell? Still standing, Manson bowed his head and stretched out his arms in a crucifixion pose. The girls quickly emulated him. When the deputies attempted to seat them, all resisted, Manson ending up scuffling with a deputy on the floor. 2 deputies bodily carried him to the lockup while the matrons took the girls out. Holy frig, what a circus.
Granny, they did get the death penalty, but they overturned it once it got banned in California.
Oh shit, I didn't know that either. Damn.
They ended up getting life with an option of parole.
Wow. They've been denied parole so much though. Like they're never getting out. You know what I mean? Whoever's left
Yeah.
out is yeah, that's what I mean. Like this book has a lot of stuff that I don't know. Brittany knows a lot of it though. That's why I want her here. There was a lot of it though. Woodstock and beyond. That's what I always think about too in that time is Woodstock. Always, the flower children and the boobs out and the flowers and the pot. That's all I think of.
The boobs.
Yeah. So many murders that weren't made public like this. People don't realize everything that went on. Really? Because I don't. Jeez. Yeah, you had no idea either, Grandma.
Nikki, we were 80 babies.
Yes, we were. We were 80s babies. So we don't know about any of this unless we researched it or read books. Exactly.
Yeah. Or looked at a history book.
Yeah. Because they definitely didn't teach Woodstock in high school, that's for sure.
I probably yeah, I know some of my classmates in history class, they'll be going off on the pot.
You lived in that time and grew up reading and seeing it, yeah. Canrick says, I would ask medical assistance for Mr. Manson, Your Honor. The court says, I will ask the bailiff to check and see if he needs any. If he does, he will get it. He's the one that started the damn fight, moron. He didn't need medical assistance. Hey, Benita. You're an 80s baby too? I'm 84.
88.
Once in lockup at a sight of the press and spectators, Manson became an entirely different person. He donned another mask, that of the complacent prisoner. Having spent more than half his life in reformatories and prisons, he knew the role all too well. Thoroughly institutionalized, he played by the rules, rarely causing trouble in the jail itself. After the noon recess, we had several examples of Canarac in action. Arguing a search and seizure motion, he said that Manson's arrest was illegal because Mr. Cabarello and Mr. Bugliosi conspired to have Miss Atkins make certain statements and the district attorney's office suborned the perjury. You're an 80s baby too? A lot of us are. I read the book when it was brand new, when I was born in 1963. You were born 1 year after my mom. As ridiculous as this was, subornation of perjury is an extremely serious charge, and since Canarac was making it in open court in front of the press, I reacted accordingly. Bugliosi says, Your Honor, if Mr. Canarac is going to have diarrhea of the mouth, I think he should make an offer of proof back in chambers. This man is totally irresponsible. I urgently request the court we go back in chambers. God knows what this man is going to say next. Well, at least there's some personality to him. It's funny. The court says, confine yourself to the argument, Mr. Canarac. The argument, when Canarac did eventually get around to making it, left even the other defense attorneys looking stunned. Canarac stated that since the warrant of arrest for the defendant Manson was based on illegally obtained and perjured testimony, therefore the seizure of the person of Mr. Manson was illegal. The person of Mr. Manson must therefore be suppressed from evidence. Well, I was wondering how you could suppress a person. Canarac provided an answer. He asked that the piece of physical evidence, which is Mr. Manson's physical body, not be before the court, conceptually to be used in evidence. Presumably, by Canarac's convoluted logic, witnesses shouldn't even be allowed to identify Manson. Older denied the motion. Well, that's good. Yeah, I read almost this whole book now. 84 and 88. 85, baby. Totally off topic, but that made me think of KJ. Yes.
Word vomit.
Yeah, good time. Another aspect of Erwin Canarac was exhibited that day, a suspicious distrust that at times bordered on paranoia. The prosecution had told the court that we would not introduce Susan Atkins' grand jury testimony in the trial. One would think the introduction of this testimony, in which Susan stated that Charles Manson had ordered the Tate LaBianca murders, would have been the last thing Manson's attorney would want in evidence. But Canarac, suddenly wary, charged that if we weren't using those statements, they must be tainted in some way. Older recessed court for the weekend. The preliminaries were over. The trial will begin the following Monday, June 15th, 1970. So now we are finally on part 6, the trial. There's a little quote here. It says, if the tale is unfolding were not so monstrous, aspects of it would break the heart. Hi, another desperate candle wife. Just popping in to say hi and popping out just as fast. Damn, I feel like a man. Hi guys. 81. I feel like a man.
Oh, brother.
She's got a point.
She does.
Oh my god. So we had a god complex. Yeah, I think that's why I think Canarac, that lawyer, and Manson got along so well. They were like one and the same. Stuff he's saying, that lawyer is just wow. Judge Charles Older's court, Department 104, was located on the 8th floor of the Hall of Justice. As the first panel of 60 prospective jurors was escorted into the crowded courtroom, their expressions changed from boredom to curiosity. Then, as eyes alighted on the defendants, mouths dropped open in abrupt shock. One man gasped, loud enough for those around him to hear, "My God, it's the Manson trial." In chambers, the chief topic was sequestration. Judge Older had decided that once jury selection was completed, the jurors would be locked up until the end of the trial, to protect them from harassment and to prevent their being exposed to trial publicity. Arrangements had already been made for them to occupy part of a floor at the Ambassador Hotel. Although spouses could visit on weekends at their own expense, bailiffs would take all necessary precautions to see that the jury remained isolated from both outsiders and any news about the case. No one was sure how long this would be. Estimates of the trial's length ranged from 3 to 6 months and up. Obviously, it would be severe hardship for those chosen. Stovitz says, Your Honor has, and I don't say this in comedy, sentenced some felons for less than 3 months in custody. The court, no doubt about it. Fitzgerald says, not at the Ambassador, though. Although all the attorneys had some reservations about sequestration, only one strongly opposed it, Irving Kanarek. Of course he did. Since Kanarek had screamed the loudest about the taint of publicity averse to his client, I concluded that Manson, not Kanarek, must have been behind the motion, and I had my own opinion as to why Charlie didn't want the jury locked up. Rumor had it that Judge Older himself had already received several threats. A recent memo he sent to the sheriff outlining courtroom security measures ended with the following paragraph. The sheriff shall provide the trial judge with a driver, bodyguard, and security shall be provided at the trial judge's residence on a 24-hour basis until such time as all trial and post-trial proceedings have been concluded. That's pretty bad. Holy.
Not to mention the remaining Manson family members that were still out in the open, they probably would go after the jurors and try and convince them that Charlie was innocent of all charges.
That
Not to mention the others that were already in prison.
Yeah, can you imagine all the threats everyone would get that would be going against Manson? Oh my God, I can just imagine because he had a lot of followers. Like he was good at what he did. He had that cult down pat. My throat's killing me. I'm just gonna take an Advil. I'm done with COVID, but yet, like, I feel great. Just my throat's been hurting me for like 3 days now. I don't know why. They also worried that those not in custody would kill the jurors. That was a huge part of it. Oh, wow. I can imagine. 12 names were drawn by lot. When the prospective jurors were seated in the jury box, Older explained that the sequestration could last as much as 6 months. Asked if any felt this would constitute undue hardship, 8 of the 12 raised their hands. Later, after obtaining revised estimates from the various attorneys, Judge Older changed this to 3 or more months, after which the hardship excuses abruptly declined. Envisioning a mass exodus from the courtroom, Older was very strict when it came to excuses for cause. However, anyone who stated that he or she could not vote the death penalty under any circumstances was automatically excused, as was anyone who had read Susan Atkins' confession. This was usually approached obliquely, the prospective juror being asked something like, "Have you read where any defendant has made any type of incriminating statement or confession?" To which several answered on the order of yes, that thing in the LA Times. Questioning on this and older issues dealing with pretrial publicity was done individually and in chambers to avoid contaminating the whole panel. After Older finished the initial questioning, the attorneys began their individual voir dire examination. I was disappointed in Fitzgerald, who led off. His questions were largely conversational and quite often showed no sign of prior thought. For example, have you or any member of your family ever been the unfortunate victim of a homicide? Fitzgerald asked this not once but twice, before one of his fellow lawyers nudged him and suggested that if the prospective juror was a homicide victim, he wouldn't be much of use on the jury. That's not funny, but it is. What the fuck? That doesn't even make sense. So his partner says, obviously, if they were a victim of homicide, they wouldn't be here. What? That doesn't, listen to this. Have you or any member, if he would have just said any member of your family, not you, but have you or any member of your family ever been an unfortunate victim of homicide? That doesn't make sense. They didn't say that so they wouldn't give them ideas. Fitzgerald asked this not once but twice. Oh, wait. Reiner was much better. It was obvious that he was doing his best to separate his client, Leslie Van Houten, from the other defendants. It was also obvious that in doing so, he was incurring Manson's wrath. Kanarek objected to Reiner's questions almost as often as I did the prosecution. Hey, it's Frida. Victims of homicides aren't much use for anything, I suppose. Well, the way I was reading it was like he was asking, like, are you a victim? Like a dead one. That's the way it sounded. I mean, I don't think he meant it to sound that way. That's why I was like, what in the hell? That was the standard question, really? Wow. Shin asked the first prospective juror only 11 questions, 7 of which Older ruled improper. His entire Boyer Dyer, I think that's how you say it, including objections and arguments, took only 13 pages of transcript. Kanarek began by reading a number of questions obviously written by Manson. This apparently didn't satisfy Charlie, as he asked Older if he could ask the jurors a few simple, tiny, childlike questions that are real to me in my reality. Refused permission, Manson instructed Kanarek, "You will not say another word in court." Manson contended Kanarek later told the court that he was already presumed guilty. Therefore, there was no need to question the jurors since it didn't matter who was selected. To my amazement, Kanarek, usually a very independent sort, actually followed Manson's instructions and declined to ask further questions. Wow, I wonder if that means Manson's got him under his thumb. What is it? Wa dear? Oh, thank you so much. Some of these words I do not know. It took me forever to say Cielo Drive. Like, how stupid is that? So what is it? Wa dear? That's how you say it? Lawyers are not supposed to educate jurors during, yeah, I already forgot it. Wa dear. But every lawyer worth his salt tries to predepose a jury to his side. For example, Reiner asked, "Have you read anything in the press or heard anything on TV to the effect that Charles Manson has kind of a hypnotic power over the female defendants?" Obviously, Reiner was less interested in the answer than in implanting the suggestion in the minds of the jurors. Similarly, walking the thin line between inquiry and instruction, I asked each juror, "Do you understand that the people only have the burden of proving a defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? We do not have the burden of proving his guilt beyond all doubt, only a reasonable doubt." Initially, Older is the judge. It's quite the weird name, eh? Older. Older would not permit the attorneys to instruct the prospective jurors in the law. I had a number of heated discussions with him about this before he let us couch such questions in general terms. This was, I felt, an important victory. For example, I didn't want to go through the whole trial only to have some juror decide we can't convict Manson of the 5 Tate murders because he wasn't there. He was back at Spawn Ranch. The heart of our case against Manson was the vicarious liability rule of conspiracy. Each conspirator is criminally responsible for all the crimes committed by his co-conspirators if said crimes were committed to further the object of the conspiracy. This rule applies even if the conspirator was not present at the scene of the crime. For example, A, B, and C decided to rob a bank. A plans the robbery, B and C carry it out. Under the law, A, though he never entered the bank, is as responsible as B and C, I pointed out to the jury. From the prosecution's point of view, it was important that each juror understands such gut issues as reasonable doubt, conspiracy, motive, direct and circumstantial evidence, and the accomplice rule. We hoped Judge Older would not declare Linda Kasabian as an accomplice, but we were fairly sure he would. He later did. In which case the defense would make much of the fact that no defendant can be convicted of any crime on the uncorroborated testimony of an accomplice. In researching the law, I found a California Supreme Court case, People v. Wayne, in which the court said only slight evidence was needed to constitute corroboration. After I brought this to Older's attention, he permitted me to use the word slight in my questioning. This, too, I considered a significant victory. Though Older had ascertained that each prospective juror could, if the evidence warranted it, vote a verdict of death, I went beyond this, asking each if he could conceive of the circumstances wherein he would be willing to vote such a verdict against 1, a young person, 2, a female defendant, or 3, a particular defendant, even though the evidence showed that he himself did not do any actual killing. Obviously, I wanted to eliminate anyone who answered any of those questions negatively. Manson and the girls caused no disruptions during jury selection. In chambers during the individual voir dire, however, Manson would often stare at the judge Older for literally hours. I could only surmise that he had developed his incredible concentration while in prison. Older totally ignored him. One day, Manson tried it with me. I stared right back, holding his gaze until his hands started shaking. During the recess, I slid in my chair over next to his and said, What are you trembling about, Charlie? Are you afraid of me? Bugliosi, he said, you think I'm bad and I'm not. I don't think you're all bad, Charlie. For instance, I understand you love animals. Then you know I wouldn't hurt anyone, he said. Hilter loved animals too, Charlie. Oh, shit.
Oy vey.
That was a good burn. He had a dog named Blondie, and from what I've read, Adolf was very kind to Blondie. Usually, a prosecutor and a defendant won't exchange two words during the entire trial, but Manson was no ordinary defendant, and he loved to rap. In this, the first of many strange, often highly revealing conversations we had, Manson asked me why I thought he was behind these murders. Because both Linda and Sadie told me you were, I replied. Now, Sadie doesn't like me, Charlie, and she thinks you're Jesus Christ, so why would she tell me this if it wasn't true? Sadie's just a stupid little bitch, Manson said. You know, I only made love to her 2 or 3 times. After she had her baby and lost her shape, I couldn't have cared less about her. That's why she told that story, to get attention. I would never personally harm anyone. Don't give me that crap, Charlie, because I won't buy it. What about lots of Papa? You put a bullet in his stomach. Well, yeah, I shot that guy, Manson admitted. He was going to come up to Spawn Ranch and get all of us. That was kind of in self-defense. Manson was enough of a jailhouse lawyer to know that I couldn't use anything he told me unless I first informed him of his constitutional rights. Yet this and many subsequent admissions surprised me. There was a strange sort of honesty about him. It was devious. It was never direct, but it was there. Hey, Jan. Whenever I pinned him down, he might evade, but not once in this or the numerous other conversations we had did he flatly deny that he had ordered the murders. An innocent man protests his innocence. Instead, Manson played word games. If he took the stand and did this, I felt sure the jury would see through him. When Manson took the stand, the general consensus was that Manson's ego, plus the opportunity to use the witness stand as a forum to expound his philosophy before the world press, would impel him to testify. But though I had already put him in many hours preparing my cross-examination, no one but Manson really knew what he would do. Toward the end of the recess, I told him, I've enjoyed talking to you, Charlie, but it would be much more interesting if we did it with you on the stand. I have lots and lots of things I'm curious about. For instance, I replied, where in the world, Terminal Island, Haight Ashbury, Spawn Ranch, did you get the crazy idea that other people don't like to live? He didn't answer. Then he began to smile. He'd been challenged and knew it. Whether he decided to accept the challenge remained to be seen. Though silent in court, Manson remained active behind the scenes. On June 24th, Patricia Carmichael interrupted Fitzgerald's voir dire to ask that he be relieved as his attorney. I have talked with him about the way I wish this to be handled right now, and he doesn't do as I ask, she told the court. He is to be my voice, which he is not. Older denied her request. Later, the defense attorneys had a meeting with their clients. Fitzgerald, who had given up his public defender's job to represent Krenwinkel, emerged with tears in his eyes. I felt very badly about this, and, putting my arm around his shoulder, told him, Paul, don't let it get you down. She'll probably keep you, and if she doesn't, so what? They are just a bunch of murderers. I can't believe I missed so much of this. I set the notification there. A lot of people are complaining about that, Jan, that they're not getting their notifications. The only thing me and all us other creators can really think about is to press the bell again so you don't have the bell and then right away press it again. So then you start getting your notifications. I don't know why it does it. It's YouTube. It's not us. They're also unsubbing our subscribers too, and I don't know why. They need to get their shit together. Actually, it's been a problem for quite a while now. They're savages, ingrates, Fitzgerald said bitterly. Their only allegiance is to Manson. Fitzgerald didn't tell me what had occurred during the meeting, but it wasn't hard to guess. Directly or through the girls, Manson had probably told the attorneys, do it my way or you're off the case. Fitzgerald and Reiner told Los Angeles Times reporter John Kendall that all the attorneys had been instructed to remain silent and not question prospective jurors. Time for tacos. Oh, enjoy. You didn't get one either, Amanda? Damn it. You have been unsubscribed 3 times? See, that is bullshit. That's not fair to you guys at all. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to talk to YouTube. Just tell them like, come on, get your shit together. I'm just gonna grab it. Actually, give me 1 second. I am going to grab some. Oh my god, ginger ale. But before that, I have got to go to the phone booth. So I'm just gonna play this shitty music for a minute. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Shit, what happened? I did that. There we go. I pay for the monthly premium, so I should get every notification. Exactly, especially if you're paying. I got to do something about that. There's got to be a way to get a hold of them because you know how KJ goes on and on about her manager. I'm pretty sure because yeah, I guess we all get a so-called manager. She's not anything special, but it's not like she's got one on call like speed dial here. You can ask questions and stuff like that. Forgot to mention I'll be listening still while I stuff my face. That's my favorite thing to do is stuff my face. Hi, Heavenly Cow. I'm glad you're here. Just blame KJ for hacking you since no notification are being sent. It's always KJ's fault. Just ask Spock. Oh my god.
Let's not go there.
I'm not even bringing it up. Hell no. Nope. I'm not touching that. So thanks for using initials. You're late. What's up? I am reading Helter Skelter. It's the true story of the Manson murders. So I'm reading that. And then just talking about it. That's awful, Dan. There's still Leland. I'm pretty sure that. Oh, okay, never mind. Fill it up. I thought that was still hot. Now I just gotta figure out what the hell I am. Okay. When the following day, Reiner disobeyed this order and continued his voir dire, Leslie Van Houten tried to fire him, repeating almost verbatim the words Krenwinkel had used. Older denied her request also. You had to blame someone for your bad day. Oh, no worries. I'm sorry you had a bad day. What Reiner was going through could be gleaned from some of his questions. For example, he asked one prospective juror, even if it appears that Leslie Van Houten desired to stand or fall with the other defendants, could you nevertheless acquit her if the evidence against her was insufficient? On July 14th, both the prosecution and the defense agreed to accept the jury. The 12 were then sworn. The jury consisted of 7 men and 5 women, ranging in age from 25 to 73, in occupation from an electronics technician to a mortician. The 12 jurors were John Baer, an electrical tester, Alec Dawson, a retired deputy sheriff, Miss Shirley Evans, a school secretary, Miss Evelyn Hines, a dictaphone teletype operator, William McBride II, a chemical company employee, Miss Thelma Mackenzie, a clerical supervisor, Miss Marie Mesmer, former drama critic for the now defunct Los Angeles Daily News, Miss Jean Roseland, an executive secretary, Ann Lee Sisto, an electronics technician, Herman Tubick, a mortician, and Walter, a retired plant guard, and William was a highway engineer. Yeah, you get none. That is awful. There's got to be a way to complain. I'll try and figure it out after this. It's very much a mixed jury, neither side getting exactly what it wanted. Almost automatically, the defense will challenge anyone connected with law enforcement. Yet Albert Dawson, the oldest member of the jury, had worked 16 years as a deputy sheriff with LASO. Well, Walter had been a plant security guard for 20 years and had a brother who was a deputy sheriff. On the other hand, Herman Tubik, the mortician, and Miss Jean Roseland, a secretary with TWA, each had two daughters in approximately the same age group as three female defendants. Yeah, exactly. We all go through shit. We're here for you. Studying the jurors' faces as they were sworn, I felt that most appeared pleased to have been selected. After all, they had been chosen to serve on one of the most famous trials of all time. Older was quick to bring them back to earth. He instructed them that when they came to court the following morning, they should bring their suitcases, clothing, and personal items, as from that point on they would be sequestered. There remained the selection of the alternate jurors. Because of the anticipated length of the trial, Older decided to pick six, an unusually large number. Again, we went through the whole voir dire again. Only this time it was without Ira Rainer. On July 17th, Leslie Van Houten formally requested that Reiner be relieved as her attorney and Ronald Hughes appointed instead. After questioning Hughes, Manson, and Van Houten on the possibility of a conflict of interest, Judge Older granted the substitution. Reiner wanted out, receiving not even so much as a thank you for the 8 months he had devoted to the case. Manson's former attorney, the hippie lawyer Ronald Hughes, with his Santa Claus beard and Walter Slezak suits, became Leslie Van Houten's attorney of record. Ira Reiner had been fired for one reason, and only one reason. He had tried to represent his client to the best of his ability, and he had properly decided that his client was not Charles Manson, but Leslie Van Houten. There was a slight but perceivable smile on Manson's face. With good reason. He had succeeded in forming a united defense team. Although Fitzgerald remained its nominal head, it was obvious he was calling the shots. On July 21st, the six alternates were sworn, and they too were sequestered. The six alternate jurors were Miss Frances, a retired civil service employee, and Kenneth, a State Division of Highways employee, Robert, an employee of the Army Corps of Engineers, John, a telephone installer, Miss Victoria, a housewife, and Larry, a telephone maintenance man. Jury selection had taken 5 weeks, during which 205 people had been examined and nearly 4,500 pages of transcript accumulated. It had been a rough 5 weeks. Older and I had clashed on several occasions, Reiner even oftener. And Older had threatened 4 of the attorneys with contempt, carrying through on 1. 3 were for violations of the gag order. Aaron Stovitz was cited for an interview he had given the magazine Rolling Stone. Paul Fitzgerald and Ira Reiner for their quoted remarks in the Los Angeles Times story. Tate suspects tried to silence lawyers. Even though Older eventually dropped the contempt citations against all 3, Irving Kanarek was less lucky. On July 8th, he was 7 minutes late to court. He had a valid reason. It was very difficult to find a parking space at the time court convened, but Older, who had previously threatened Kanarek with contempt when he was just 3 minutes late, was not sympathetic. He ruled Kanarek in contempt and fined him $25. While we were busy selecting a jury, 2 of Manson's killers were set free. Mary Brenner was re-indicted and rearrested for the Hinman murder. Her attorneys filed a writ of habeas corpus, ruling that she had fulfilled the conditions of the immunity agreement. Judge Kathleen Parker granted the writ and Brenner was released. Meanwhile, Clem Steve Grogan pleaded guilty to a grand theft auto charge stemming from the Barker raid. Van Nuys, Judge Steery Fagan, heard the case. He was aware of Grogan's lengthy rap sheet. Moreover, the probation department, permissive, in this case recommended that Grogan be sentenced to a year in the county jail. Aaron also informed the judge that Clem was exceedingly dangerous, and that he had not only been along on the night LaBiancas were killed, but we also had evidence that he had beheaded Shorty Shia. Yet, unbelievably enough, Judge Fagan gave Clem straight probation. Wow. On learning that Clem had returned to the family at Spawn Ranch, I contacted his probation officer asking him to revoke Clem's probation. There was more than ample cause. Among the terms of his probation that were he maintained residence at the home of his parents, seek and maintain employment, not use or possess any narcotics, not associate with known narcotic users. Moreover, he had been seen on several occasions, even photographed with a knife and a gun. His probation officer refused to act. He later admitted to LAPD that he was afraid of Clem. Though Bruce Davis had gone underground, most of the other hardcore family members were very much in evidence. Some dozen of them, including Clem and Mary, haunted the entrances and corridors of the Hall of Justice each day, where they would cast cold, accusing stares at the prosecution witnesses as they arrived to testify. The problem of their presence in the courtroom, a concern since Sandy had been found carrying a knife, was solved by Aaron. Prospective witnesses are excluded when other witnesses are testifying. Aaron simply subpoenaed all the known family members as prosecution witnesses, an act which raised a tremendous furor from the defense that made everyone else breathe a little easier. I think I might stop there. Jesus. I still have to make a KJ video, and I'm still doing merch. I'm trying to figure out how to get the how to get like images and stuff on this t-shirt I'm trying to do. But this one, so the next part I'll read is called Tate Murder Trial Starts Today. Hint prosecution will reveal surprise motive. Sharon's father expected to be the first witness. So that's going to be a good one, and I'll continue this on Thursday.
All right.
I usually try and read just an hour because it's. Have you ever actually read out loud for an hour? If you're not used to it, it fucking hurts. Like your throat hurts. It's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't think so.
Especially when you got over C-19.
I know, and it's weird. My throat's been hurting for 3 days. I do not know why. I haven't looked at it because it's not like strep throat sore. It's just sore. I don't know. It's weird. So I've been taking some Advil every now and then. Pretty much. Well, yeah, taking it like every day. But I also took one like earlier just because I know my throat was getting really bad. You want me to read for an hour? I did. I started at 7. It's 8:13. So between my ramblings and reading, I sure as heck did. Come on now. You've talked enough to make my throat hurt. Really? Okay, so it's not just me. Well, if you're constant, you're just like, oh, and keep going and going and going, and no breaks, yeah, it sucks. So now I'm going to suck on my minty vape. I drink my ginger ale. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Brittany is like an expert here, and I am not. But I'll try and help.
Anyone?
Mostly because I have to repeat to my kids and husband.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It feels like I have 4 kids instead of 3. I don't have to worry about the oldest. She moved out like when she went to college.
Oh, okay. I think I'm going to try
Right now she's packing up for her sophomore year.
Oh, wow. I have chamomile.
So basically, like with me, I basically ran all day getting stuff for her, getting stuff for my now 17-year-old and the 6-year-old.
Wow.
For them to start high school and elementary school.
Jan, I've read like the beginning of this book. I've already read about the Tate murders and LaBianca murders. I've read what was done. I'm almost done this book right now. How many pages even is this thing? Let me see here.
I stand corrected. Instead of 4 kids, it feels like 5 because of our dog.
All right, there's 670 pages in this book, and I am on page 413. So I'm way over half. We're almost done it. But I made a video, or I have all the lives though, with me reading. If you want to catch up that way too. You got a 14-year-old going in high school. Oh my god. What'd you say? Have you seen something on YouTube about you and you're not going after Molly, Justin, and Al? Do you know what's going on? Don't mean to change the subject. Oh, I know exactly what's going on. He is trying to claim that Molly and Justin are, and Al, I guess, are all in this conspiracy that they're raising. They have fraud raisers going. Yeah, for Letitia Bias, Vaughn's mother. I mean, enough already. I'm so sick to death of these people. I'm sick of it. They need to leave this friggin' woman alone. I didn't know where in the book you were at. Yeah, I'm at. I'm almost done it. How many people were convicted? Shit.
Well, there was Charlie,
Yeah.
Susan, Patricia, Leslie, and then the ones that were
What about Linda?
respond.
Wasn't she or no? Not fully.
No, she got
Younger.
immunity.
Ah,
Susan, who died in prison.
yeah. Manson's now dead too. Uh, Tex was one of them as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Tex, but like with Tex, he was in Texas at the time with his parents, and they had to extradite him all the way in California for all to go all the way to California and do the trial there.
Ah,
So basically, he up and left the family, and then
yeah.
it basically caught up to him.
Good. I'm glad it did. Yeah, I remember that. 'Cause
And
he
what
was on the
makes me
run.
mad is that he helped kill an innocent pregnant woman, and here he is, married,
Yeah.
3 kids.
Yeah, that's just bullshit. Shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. And I think not Bugliosi, Bobby, he's still in prison.
Yeah, Beausoleil, I think you're right too.
But he wasn't even at the Tate LaBianca murders. He was still in jail for the Hinman murder.
Yes.
Because Charlie and concocted a plan trying to make copycat murders that way to make it look like it wasn't really Bobby.
Yeah. It was just sick, all this shit that they did, all the murders they've done. It's horrible.
I mean, with Linda, after all the trial and everything else, she got her daughter back and went into hiding.
Yeah, I don't blame her for that. I'm still, I've watched a lot of documentaries on her, and I'm still, I would have done things differently. I mean, definitely. And I feel that she's done some wrong, but I also feel like I haven't been in her shoes. So I really don't know what the frig I would do. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard with that one. I know I would have never left my child behind. That's for sure. That's one thing I definitely don't agree with.
I would have went back and got her and just left. Just
Exactly.
telling them that you were going out to see some friends.
Yeah.
Of course, that would be like, oh, she didn't let go of her ego in her past.
Yeah. Like, I get she was scared, but that's your daughter. Make an excuse why you need her. Because with her leaving, like, that would have been my biggest fear. If I left my daughter there, well, obviously they know that you just fucked off on them. When they want to hurt the daughter, they sure as hell didn't care about the baby Sharon was carrying. That would be my biggest fear.
And I think a couple others are still in prison too. I
Yeah.
know a couple ended up getting parole because they confessed.
This gonna sound
And I
crazy.
think it was the Shorty case too. Some of
Yeah.
them confessed and took the cops and everybody else over to where Spawn Ranch was, and then led them down where the body was buried.
Jesus.
And then, like with Squeaky, she ended up getting paroled after a few years with the President Ford assassination attempt.
What?
Yeah, but for her to be paroled, she had to complete the rest of her sentence because she broke out of jail for a few days.
Oh my god.
Any more questions, y'all?
There's not enough hours in the day. Like, yeah, 24 hours equals a day. Well, half that you're sleeping, or less, maybe a little less than that you're sleeping. But there's just not enough hours in a day to do everything, especially if you have a YouTube channel and you're trying to get all this information out. You're trying to make videos and researching and all this shit. It's just, wow. So hard. Like, I haven't even made the video yet that I meant to, but I'm gonna have to make it after this, get it out, and then I've still got to make some merch, and then I've got to. Oh my god, what else do I do? I'm hungry, so I'm gonna have to cook something. I already vacuumed, already did all my dishes I had. Yeah, it's just like go, 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 go.
That's me. I was on the go this morning into the afternoon, and I went and took the kids to McDonald's.
Oh, okay, you have a good night, Amanda. Oh, it's not artsy this time. It's farting unicorn. It's Brittany.
She won't let me down.
Yes, I did, Benita. That's probably one of my favorite movies with her in it. Oh my god, it was amazing.
I
I loved it.
actually watched it with my husband the other night.
I really,
And
really,
he was
really
kind
enjoyed
of
it.
freaked out, and he was like, and then especially at the plot twist at the end.
Yeah, I wish that was, when she had the baby in her arms, I thought, I hope the hell it's like that where they are right now. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
hope they're all together. I hope they're happy, and I hope she's got that baby in her arms. You didn't like it, Gina? No? Well, that's what a lot of people are saying. They don't like it. I don't know why. I loved it. Yeah, isn't Squeaky in prison still? That's what I want to know, too. I'm going to ask.
No, she's not. She's out.
Oh, figures. There's a lot of bodies on that ranch land. Yep. I watched a few of those movies, but that movie you're talking about sucked and blowed. Really? Jan wants to know if there's any of them still in jail. Oh, yeah, we already answered that, right?
Yeah.
Are there any ghosts associated with the murders? Yep,
Uh,
there is. There's a.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Some people, I don't know if Jeff had seen anything or because that mansion was right on where the property where the Love House was.
Yeah. I know that
But
property.
I know that somebody did say that they had some activity at their house.
Yeah, where Sharon Tate used to live. Even though the house was torn down, they rebuilt it, and there's people living on it. I believe still not. I think they're still living there.
Yeah, even neighbors had reported there was some activity within the area.
Oh my god.
But that's like the person who also said had reported activity, and he also said there could have been an ancient Indian burial ground
Really? Well, that would make it
in
even.
the area too. So you got Sharon and Indians.
Well, yeah, the Indian part would be indigenous people would be crazy
Yeah.
because. But the Sharon, you can actually hear her voice. I keep forgetting, so I'll write that down. So I can show you guys. Actually, I'll look for it now. That'll be pretty cool if we can
Yeah.
hear Sharon's ghost. You guys want to do that?
Some
Ooh.
like there are also like
Have
I'm
you
trying
read
to
it?
think.
No, I have. This is the only book I've ever read about Manson, and I'm a bookworm. I'm surprised I haven't read it. Do you like the new Manson movie with Matt Smith? I don't even know who Matt
I
Smith.
did watch it on Netflix, and it was sort of okay. It has Hannah Murray and
So
Kevin Bacon's oldest daughter. Basically, it takes place right around when Leslie joined the group. It's basically about the psychiatrist. She pretty much got assigned to the Manson girls. I think it was Susan, Patricia, and Leslie.
Oh, it was
Just to make
Ghost
them
Adventures
realize
that did
what
it.
they have done and feel the guilt and stuff. Towards the end of the movie, they do end up regretting what they have done.
There's two. This one I watched. It was called. Have you guys ever seen the show called My Ghost Story? I love that show. I really do. It's good. They also have Celebrity Ghost Story. Those two are really, really good, and you actually get to hear and see
Yeah, I
things.
seen an episode. I think it was Vince Neil from Motley Crue.
Yep, yep. I've seen them all. I love them all. You should still be able to watch Valley of the Dolls. Yep, I've seen that on my news feed actually because I was looking up all her shit. According to David Oman, who built the house when Sharon was torn down, he swears it. You can watch his YouTube channel.
Yeah, he does have a YouTube channel, and I think
I'll check that.
there's a couple others that went up to David's house. I know Grim did, Michael and Jessica, and then I think Jordan the Lion went up with a couple of the other friends from YouTube.
Yeah.
They went up.
Manson in his own words. Oh, I seen that book. I was gonna get that one too. Actually, they're pretty cheap on Amazon. I just buy the used ones that are good condition. The one I have, I only paid $9 for. So much. Manson in his own words. Okay. This is by okay. I don't even know how to say his name, but yeah, Neil.
I know, like if you watch Once Upon a Time
In
in
Hollywood.
Hollywood, that does detail Sharon's final months, even though there's a twist at the end.
Yeah.
Just let's say for flamethrower Leonardo DiCaprio.
I can play both of this for you guys. One is the one that I seen. It was on the show My Ghost Story. So I want to show that one. And then the other one, which I didn't know was done, was from Ghost Avengers. So let's see. God, she's such a beautiful woman. All right, I'm going to play the Ghost Story one first. It says, homeowner feels spirit of Sharon Tate in Hollywood Hills home. This scene is from season 1, episode 4. I love this show. Oh, I got to mute myself or it's going to be a huge echo. Oh, yeah, show a burger. Get me going. Now I want a fucking burger.
Burgers to beat.
Burgers.
Burgers! They're awesome! Burgers!
I love this guy.
You can get them cheese and bacon and cheese.
I just adore him. He's
You
funny.
get them in turkey and veggie.
Helter Skelter is one of your favorites. Okay, I'm just going to play this clip for us.
Might have to skip the burgers, man.
S. I don't go, oh, I'm bent out of shape. They're here again. I just accept it. I take it with a grain of salt and accept it as a function of the house.
It said at the end there, every day he's haunted by the murdered victims by the Manson family. Wasn't that's the one? This is the one I've seen before. Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess I do know who he is. I didn't realize it was David, but I seen this episode. But he does have a channel, right? So I'm gonna go check that out. There's another one. Do you guys want to see that one too? This one is from the Ghost Adventure guys, which I never seen. I don't like Zach Baggins. I think he's a fraud.
I think he's a total dick.
Yeah, that too. I don't like him. I don't watch that show, but I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see if they actually got anything or if it's more bullshit from him. Are you guys in the chat interested or? I'll be working on another story too. Somebody brought it to my attention, and it's really bad though. I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna do it because the shit I'm hearing and seeing, it's pretty upsetting. So I don't know. I've never seen or heard or seen of a pregnant orb either. Me neither.
I never.
I wonder. Okay, maybe it must have been Ghost Adventures then that got the EVPs, and you could hear Sharon. I hope so. I'd have to watch it. All right, I'll mute myself and then we'll play it.
Teaching our kids what's important can be so hard, right? They look to us to learn everything, from falling to.
It wouldn't surprise me to discover that he is being affected. Whether that's from the spirit of Sharon Tate, I can't tell you. If it's related to geomagnetic forces, I could build it
within this environment and speak through that.
Magnitude. We are concerned for his safety and well-being.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I'm hoping for the EVPs. That'll be my next thing because I did hear them. It must have been in that guy's house. I don't like Zach Baggins because he acts like a star. What do you say? Could that magnetic field cause hallucinations? That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
It can.
Really?
Yeah. If it's strong enough.
Shit, I did not know that. I use my dowsing rods in my house. One of my friends was in prison with one of Leslie Von Houghton's, the Manson girls in Gallows. She's the one who killed Sharon Tate. Shit, really? Wow. How'd that work out? Was she scary?
Actually, Leslie wasn't even at the Tate residence. She was at the La Bianca.
Yeah.
She was still over at Spawn Ranch. The night with Sharon Tate, it was Tech, Susan, Patricia, and Linda. I deleted a message. Yeah, I know. I got mixed up. It's okay.
You guys got any questions or anything? If not, I'm going to end this so I can finish the work I need to get done. And so you'll have a KJ video soon when I'm done it. It'll probably, I don't know how long that'll, it's usually I do like an hour or so, but that'll be out tonight. And I work on more merch. High EMF can cause hallucinations, upset stomach, vomiting, and other things. Well, I wonder if that's what's going on with them then. It has nothing to do with ghosts. You know what I mean? She said Leslie was very nice and helped other girls read. I messed up, disregarded first message. I had to Google her name because I got confused. Have a great night, Nikki. You too, April.
Yeah, I need to get off of here and get the youngest ready for bed. Trying to get her to bed early so she's ready and
Yeah.
for her school routine.
Mine goes back, I think the shit. What day is that?
Ours is the 25th, towards the end of the month. So
I think it's on a Thursday. I could be wrong though. All right, you guys have a great night. And I will make that video, see if something may. I'm going to actually bring up the cat incident. Wait till you guys hear what KJ has to say about that cat. It's bullshit.
oh jeez.
Yeah, I'm going to post.
I think, wasn't it Tope that posted about the cat?
Yeah, and then she tried to say that this was an old photo and a troll posted it. I'm like, what? Yeah, she said it was from like a year ago. Bullshit. You got caught. Your husband got caught being a cruel bastard. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I hear you, Nancy. I know that poor cat. All right, you guys have a great night, and I
Good night.
will be back Saturday, I think. But making videos anyways. All right, you guys have a great, great night.